Treacherous weather, devastating weather, deadly weather. You're seeing pictures from the Dallas area of Texas. At least 43 people were killed in the Midwest and South as violent storms marched across the region, leaving devastation in their wake. Parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico were hit with heavy snow and flooding over the weekend. Tornadoes ripped through the Dallas area, killing 11. The storms and the damage they caused are making holiday travel a nightmare. Almost 1,000 flights have been canceled so far, and it's not over yet. The Southeast is still in the track of more storms, with the possibility of tornadoes developing. For more about what's behind this unusual weather, we're joined by the chief forecaster for WeatherBELL. It's Joe Bastardi. Welcome to Newsmax Prime, Joe.
Hey, Joe Beggs, thank you for having me. Let me explain. I'm dressed this way because I just got through coaching a couple kids at a wrestling tournament and didn't have time to change, so that's why I look this way.
No, Joe, we talked about this.
Sure.
No, you were supposed to say I was just out checking the weather, and this is my checking the weather gear.
Well, I'm always checking the weather.
I know you are.
It's kind of weird because I'm watching the weather while I'm doing this between the kids' matches. So anyway.
Well, listen, I just flew in from Texas, so I know how bad it was there. I flew in from Austin, and the weather was, you had some hail, you had some very, very heavy storms. It almost seemed like waves of storms. In that part of the country, we don't get hurricanes. What is it that they experienced there? El Paso got snowed out. Dallas has tornadoes. Austin was getting crazy wind and hail. What caused this?
Well, we have a very deep low pressure system that came through Texas and is turning northward. It's now responsible for the ice and snowstorm that's going on in the upper Midwest and into the plains. And there's going to be some ice and snow tonight also across Michigan on into New England. But yes, this is part of the El Nino package, but there's more to this El Nino package down the road because now the second part of it's coming, the January, February, March part of it, which is going to turn the cold and push it into the eastern part of the United States. And there is a huge turnabout coming.
Yeah.
And it's something that my company, WeatherBELL.com, has been just saying that this winter is going to come gangbusters into the southern and eastern part of the United States, specifically the area from Texas to the mid-Atlantic states. And we're seeing all the computer models beginning to show that now. So the first part of it, and this has happened before, not to this extreme.
Yeah.
This was an extreme event. We had what we call the second season of severe weather. That occurs in November, December, because you'll get these very powerful systems in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And if the fall was warm, the Gulf is still warm, so you could get this kind of clash going on. The good news, folks, is the weather pattern that is shaping up for January, February, March, which is going to be stormy and cold from the southern plains up into the mid-Atlantic states, Ohio Valley, perhaps even up to New England.
Right.
The good news is that is going to cool the Gulf temperature. This El Nino is going to collapse, and the severe weather season in 2016 is liable to be less than normal next spring. So you see this stuff going back and forth, and it's part of nature balancing itself out. As bad as this was, let's remember, overall, we had another less than normal tornado season across the United States.
Well, listen, you probably have heard about this. British Prime Minister David Cameron is blaming this on climate change, global warming, whatever the heck they call it these days. Many experts agree that the Earth is warming a bit. NOAA came out with a study recently. I don't buy it, but you're the expert. Do you blame this on climate change? Is this natural? Is this something we're doing?
This is natural back and forth, and they're going to blame the cold and the snow that you're going to see from Dallas to Atlanta and up into the mid-Atlantic states. When you start seeing that happen January, February, March, it'll be the same thing. Look, a lot of these guys are like the fans sitting in the stands.
Right.
They don't actually make a forecast. They only come in after and say, see, I told you what happened. It's like the guy sitting next to you, eating a hot dog and guzzling a beer, complaining about the players on the field when he never actually gets out there and does it himself. When have any of these climatologists made a forecast like what I do for a living, and my gas companies, my energy companies are smiling because we told them how cold it was going to get.
Right.
And so what's happening is they purchased natural gas when it was down 2-3 weeks ago. You see it surging as the rest of the weather vendor market turns and says, oh my goodness, it's going to get cold. So the bottom line is none of these guys make predictions. It's easy to say, oh, 100 years from now, there's going to be flooding going on in Miami or whatever it is. So they never make an actual prediction you can verify.
Hey, Joe, this is why we have you on and we don't have them on, because we know that we can trust the information we're getting from you.
Joe, it aggravates me.
I got to wrap it here.
Guys sit there and try to tell me they don't have an agenda when in reality, everything they've got
Joe Bastardi, WeatherBELL.com. Keep it right here. We're coming back.